what's up you guys, this is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today on The Quick Draw, it's time to add a couple more inches to our dicks when we take a look at the Tigris Prime. Now, as many of you know, the Tigris has never been the shotgun of my choice. The duplex auto just took a lot to get used to, and I found several other weapons that were just better at clearing a room. However, the Tigris Prime is here, and it is possibly the most stunning Prime primary to date. And you know how difficult it is for me to keep my hands off of a good-looking barrel. So, for Forma later, and here I am with one of the biggest shooters in game, and I have to admit that after some curious modding, and even curiouser playtesting, curiosity is definitely killing a lot more than just cats. Now, as with all primes, I'm going to leave the drop tables in the description box below, because things get faulted, new relics get added, and my life is filled with way too much shit to do to remember to annotate all that kind of stuff. Regardless, just remember that this will require Mastery Rank 13 to craft. Now, its primary damage type is slashing, like a fucking shit ton of it, but it does have a little splash of puncture and impact. Now clearly, slash is fantastic up against the infested and fleshy targets, however it does suffer heavily against armored units, so unless you can strip them down completely, ensure that you're using the appropriate elemental combo in order to deal the optimal amount of damage. Now, we all know how the Tigris series of shotguns operates, especially since it's become a cult classic in game. Tons of damage, only 2 shots in the clip, and of course that duplex auto trigger that I am absolutely terrible with. So I'm going to jump straight into the stats and assume that you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, as compared to the Sancti Tigris, it got a major damage boost from 1,260 up to 1,560, a 5% increase to its status chance, bringing it to 30%, as well as retaining its original accuracy of 9.1 as compared to the Sancti Tigris' 6.5. It's also got a boost in its pellet count from 6 up to 8, which I'm not necessarily sure is an increase or decrease in its effectiveness. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, the Tigris Prime does fall short in a couple of areas, with its reload speed being slower than the new Loka variation, as well as taking a 5% hit to its critical chance, bringing it down to 10%, which was a strange choice since it actually got a boost to its critical multiplier, from 1.5 up to 2. Honestly, I ran some rough numbers on it, and even with the loss in critical chance, the multiplier boost does actually allow the Tigris Prime to pull a little further ahead. So basically all of that was a long drawn out way of saying, this version of the Tigris is just better at doing more Tigris-like things. Now, clearly it's missing the Purity proc, which was handy for clearing out weaker enemies, debuffing beefier armored targets, and giving you a heal and a small HP buff, which honestly is a small price to pay for when your weapon looks this fantastic. In all seriousness though, what this all boils down to is the fact that the Tigris Prime has so much damage that you can literally free up a slot for utility and not feel terrible about it. I've even done the unthinkable and played around with elemental status mods in my build, because realistically, if it's something that the Tigris Prime can't kill in one shot, it's most likely because I'm playing solo and I'm up against a heavily armored unit that is way too overleveled for me to kill with sheer force. So if my kitty doesn't share that armor, my gun's gonna have to figure out how to deal with it. Now this is a really interesting thought, because there are many weapons we don't toss an extra fire rate for because it already fires fast enough, or we don't mod for reload speed because its innate reload speed is totally usable. But in this case, the Tigris Prime is literally overflowing with damage to the point where we could easily spare some for utility mods. Yes, even including elemental status ones. In fact, a little birdie told me to try it out with a 100% status build, and I have to admit, it definitely wrecks face. Now, speaking of way too much of something, can we talk? Okay, so as I said before, I've always been a bigger fan of the Vacor Heck than I was of Sancti Tigris, and that was mainly because of the fact that the Vacor Heck had a ton of great supplemental stats alongside a good chunk of damage, as opposed to the Tigris, which was insane amounts of base damage with a quick reload speed, so you could crank out more of that insane base damage. Literally every time I saw a build for it, it was all exactly the same, just stacking as much pure damage as humanly possible. And all I could think in my head was, god damn, how much damage do you need? I mean, it's one shotgun shot. With that much damage, you're either gonna kill him, or you're really gonna fucking kill him. It's literally as if someone unzipped in front of me, whipped out a 10-incher, and I said, you know what? You could really do with a couple more inches in length and girth. No, I don't care about technique, I don't care about the dirty talk or the full play, I just want excessive amounts of caulk. Now, for those of you who have never taken it in the ass, anything more than 10 inches is just too much dick. It's like stacking Serration, Prime Point Blank, and Hornet Strike all into one weapon. It's overkill in a single category. You gotta diversify. I'd be more than happy with a good-looking 9-incher. Hell, I'd gladly take an 8-incher just as long as he's good at what he does. And if that 7-incher is more than ready to play a bit rough and promises me some jack-in-the-box afterwards, I'm good to go. Because at the end of the day, playing around is all about having fun, and if all you've got is a shit ton of damage and a big old dick, then I hate to break it to ya, I'm more interested in the one who brought curly fries. Now, with a sudden urge to hit the gym, let's finish up the quick draw. So all in all, the Tigris Prime was definitely a surprise. That 5% boost in its status chance made it capable of hitting the 100% mark without having to dedicate 5 mod slots for it. After some testing, this definitely made an insane amount of difference to the build, giving it the capability to take down a fully armored level 140 bombard in just 4 rounds, as opposed to the traditional damage stacking build that took 12 rounds. In addition, it still had the capacity of taking out level 140 unarmored targets in a single shot. So in either situation, you kinda win. On top of all that, this baby comes with a dash and a V slot, which makes maxing out its build way less painful. So I guess it just goes to show, it's not necessarily about having the biggest dick, but rather knowing all the cool tricks you can do with it. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Quick Draw. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to check out my previous rundown on the SARPA, as well as my overview of Necros Prime Access. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned for more of my highly accurate, not remotely insulting foreign accents, here at A Gay Guy Plays. Okay, can someone explain to me this mysterious space magic? Because every single time I shoot the wall, it shows 6 pellets. But every time I shoot anything else, it shows 8. See, this is the kind of fucked up shit I go through when playtesting.